Hello and welcome to the Popcorn Counter here at the Two Real Cinema Club. I'm James Rosica.
And I'm Andres Lorente.
And don't sit there. Wait a second. My dinner jacket is in that suit bag. Let me move it out of the way. Wait a second.
Dinner jacket? Suit bag? What are you talking about? I'm just wearing a vest and jeans, man.
You might go to the Oscars wearing a blue hoodie, but the rest of us have to wear a bow tie and a black dinner suit.
Oh, you went to the Oscars.
No, I sent my suit to the dry cleaners in case I was invited to the Oscars, as I do every year. And weirdly, I don't know what happened to my invitation, got lost again. So we are just a week after the Oscars now.
Yeah.
Which means I probably ought to have taken my suit home by now. Disappointed or not, do you think? Or more importantly, do you reckon you and I got it right or wrong?
I think we have a pretty good record. I think we got it right.
I think we got it surprisingly right this year. I agree. We did pretty good.
Yeah. Especially Flow, right? I mean, I think we both thought Flow was worth it. That was a kind of a gimme, though. I didn't see all the animated films, but I felt pretty good about calling that one. So we did well there.
I saw all of the animated films but one.
Okay.
We watched the Wallace and Gromit film over Christmas. And it's a surprisingly good Wallace and Gromit movie. It's kind of going over some of the same ground that the other Wallace and Gromit movies have done, but there's a lot of artfulness. It's beautifully written. It's very pacey. It's a very entertaining film.
Okay.
We did watch Memoir of a Snail, as did you, and our film was okay. It was fine. I did not watch Wild Robot. That's the only one on the list that we didn't see. And we did watch Inside Out 2, which again, I was surprisingly entertained by. I had low expectations for Inside Out 2. And I don't think the first Inside Out is absolute vintage Pixar, but Inside Out 2, very effective.
Yeah.
Really worked. Much better than I thought it kind of was expected to be, kind of maybe better than it deserved to be. Quite insightful. So I'm pleased, I'm thrilled that Flow won over Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have been disappointed if Inside Out 2 had taken it. I bet Flow was made for 1% of the budget of Inside Out 2.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is the other thing to take.
And Robot Dreams was not even on that list, is that correct?
Yeah, I had to look that up because I was disappointed that Robot Dreams wasn't listed, but that's because it was last year.
Oh.
So Robot Dreams was nominated for the 24 Oscars.
Oh, all right.
Huh. So we still kind of got that right.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, who would have believed it that a film with no dialogue, and a favourite of ours, a film with pure visual storytelling, made kind of on a laptop using a very inexpensive software package, which we championed, picked up the Best Animated Film Oscar.
Yahoo! We got it right.
I'm hoping it will now get a bit of a theatrical re-release, maybe, or at least I'm hoping it will see a few more bums on seats because it's a terrific picture, worth watching.
Still playing at my local theater, so
is it nice? Okay,
we got a lot of stuff that's. I think September 5 is still there. A Complete Unknown is still there. I mean, I really like my local theater. Yeah, so they hang on to the good ones and keep showing them. So,
Complete Unknown was the big disappointment. I think
I thought so too. Yeah.
I don't think did it win anything. I don't think it won a single thing, did it?
Maybe not. Oh boy, that's bad.
I'm gonna quickly check now.
Do the Googles.
Yeah, through the miracle of the internet.
Not even like something sound related, musical related.
It should have done Academy Award nominated in 8 categories and won none.
Jesus, wow.
Which means, well, maybe we are not the right audience for the kind of movies that the Academy are going to vote for. A Complete Unknown is tremendously entertaining. Maybe it's considered slightly old-fashioned. It's the kind of biopic that you don't see much of these days. It's a film that could have been made 20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe. Maybe it has a little bit of that vibe of a 90s or an early 2000s film. I loved it, as did you, but clearly not enough other people did.
Yeah, and normally I don't like biopics, so I can understand why the Academy might not like a film like that, but so good.
Best Picture then, Anora.
Anora.
When it happened, you sent me I can't remember if it was a text or an email saying, I think it just said, Anora, really?
Well, I think it might have been Anora WTF question mark, but
yes, very believable actually.
Really is nice, yeah.
But I'm not excessively disappointed that Anora won over some of the other films in that list. Certainly I think it's a better picture than, say, Conclave. I haven't seen Dune 2, but I'm confident that it's probably a better film than Dune 2. I think it's a better film than The Substance. I think it's a better film than Emilia Perez.
Yeah.
This is what I put in my little kind of texty reply to you. It's a film about a woman. It's a film about a kind of marginalized character.
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I'm not terribly disappointed that Anora picked it up. But you were.
Well, I wasn't. I'm glad that Sean Baker made a film. It's, more or less a lower budget, independent kind of film, and then it did well. I just didn't think it was that strong. And I guess, I'm happy that Flow as a result, which probably, I would have chosen over that, won in the animation. And that was sort of the safety, wasn't it? That it could be a better film, could be in the animated category and still win. It's just, I felt like, I think Mikey Madison's probably deserving of the Oscar. I thought she did a great job. She vaped very well. That was believable. Her accent is fantastic. Her Russian was, passable and good. It's a great character. I really do think it's a great character. I just didn't, I just didn't think I think the other thing is, best screenplay? I don't think so. I don't think that's a particularly strong screenplay. And again, we talked about this comedy. I don't think it was a comedy. So I just didn't think it was a very strong film overall. And for that reason, but it won a lot of stuff, right? I think it won. Did he get Best Director also?
He did.
Yes. You're talking about a film that won a lot of major awards, and I don't think a lot of people had seen it before the Oscars. I think it had made $40 or $50 million or something like that.
A lot more people are going to see it now.
Yeah, I think people will see it now. But I wasn't glued to it, and thought they were just tonally. It was really kind of uncomfortable for me at many times. So and again, the ending again. We've talked about ending. I just felt like good film, not a strong film, not a best film. Best director, I don't think so, and best screenplay. So I think it was more the quantity of awards and the quality of the awards that really puzzled me.
Okay, let me go back to your point about tone there.
Yeah.
So is your question about tone, is it that there are some kind of nationality stereotypes or race stereotypes? Is that your question? Or is it the kind of how much it's a transparently kind of a Cinderella type story?
All of the above, yeah. Yep, the Cinderella story, the character arc or kind of non-arc, what passes as comedy, because I didn't think in the comic moments I don't think we're that strong, and to a certain extent they really kind of disempowered the bad guys and didn't make the good guys look any better. It was just I was very confused throughout that film. it's easy to watch. It's not like a super complex story. It is overtly Cinderella, I suppose, and yet I didn't find it that interesting, I guess, and I don't think it's not necessarily that original either. You'd think, like a best screenplay should be something that's kind of original. A best film should be something that is really, really engaging, I guess. And I didn't feel it. And, I'm not the Academy, and they are the Academy.
Despite how long we've been knocking on that door, you're right, they still haven't admitted us to the Academy. Exactly. I don't know what is going wrong. Yeah. It's worth lingering on. So, screenplay is what we're interested in. It's worth lingering on those two screenplay awards a bit longer. So, like the nominees for original screenplay, Anora won, but the other people on the list, The Brutalist, which neither of us have. You haven't seen that yet.
I still haven't seen it. I can't.
Yeah, and I feel like on principle one should refuse to see that because it's 3 hours and 40.
Yes,
it's like an hour longer than Munich, for goodness sake.
Wow.
So it just feels bad manners to ask me to sit and see quite that long. It is bad manners,
yes.
A Real Pain. So the other three, A Real Pain, which we have seen, September 5, which we have seen, and The Substance, which we have seen. So we've kind of seen all of those original screenplay nominees apart from The Brutalist. Out of those, which would you personally have given the gong to?
Probably September 5.
Yeah, I think same here. I agree. We talked a little bit about what we kind of identified as the shortcomings in A Real Pain.
Yeah.
And The Substance, there are fun elements to that film, but I don't think it quite hangs together.
No.
I think the whole movie looks a little bit first drafty, that story.
Yeah, but September 5 in probably 95 pages or something like that, has so many different storylines, so many different subtle character arcs. It deals with truth, it deals with reality, and yet makes it entertaining and compelling. Yeah, I think that's a much better screenplay.
And I think September 5 is kind of the film that we need at the moment, isn't it? September 5 is probably the film which is addressing the most pressing issues that we see in the news at the moment. Yeah, September 5 is probably the right film to have picked up the gong. Yeah. I know a number of people who've told me I am wrong to complain about the story of the substance. Spencer Brown, friend of the pod, has really told me off for me complaining that all the story elements don't quite fit together, and I'm left asking, well, how does it work economically? How does the lab make any money out of the substance? Who is the person on the phone? And he kind of said, he's not supposed to ask any of those questions. It's just supposed to function as a metaphor. It's a fable. Don't start bringing your real world questions into it, because that's missing the whole point of the film. He's a very clever guy, but I'm not sure that I agree with that take, though. I think those sorts of shortcomings take you out of the film.
Absolutely.
Once I'm sitting in the cinema asking those questions, I'm not paying attention to the story, and that's a failing.
Yeah. As you know, I loathed that film. I think there was kind of an interesting story in there, but everything is so overdone in it that I couldn't take it. I was never in it. So when you're talking about some tether to reality, I think it's super important, because I was not engaged. I was never for a moment in that film. And I really disliked it. So everyone has their own opinion, I suppose. But I was shocked that had so many nominations, because I found it unnecessarily grotesque and... Yeah, I've hated few films more than that, I think, this past year. So
wow, there should be an award for that.
There we go. Most hated film.
Most hated film.
Now we're talking. That'll get some viewers.
Then, like the other screenplay award, the adapted screenplay. So again, this is something they taught us at film school, and I think it's still the case that approximately 50% of movies are adapted from previously existing material.
Yeah.
50% are brand new material. So that the nominees for adapted screenplay. So I've seen 60% of these. I don't know whether you have seen more. So Conclave was the winner, but Complete Unknown was on the list. Emilia Perez was on the list. And then also Nickel Boys, which I have not seen, and Sing Sing, which I have not seen, but which in my mind I confused with Sing, the animated movie about pigs and monkeys that form a pop band.
Oh, that sounds great.
But I don't think that's what Sing Sing is.
No.
Have you seen Nickel Boys?
I haven't. It's in the theater here, so I could see it. Yeah, it's definitely on the short list of things to see coming up. But I haven't seen it yet. Complete Unknown, definitely. Conclave, no. Emilia Perez. So again, this was adapted from what?
That is a good question, because I was under the impression that it was an original story. But clearly the Academy believes it's been adapted from something.
Okay, and then
maybe
it's
been adapted from something in French or Spanish, which is why it's gone under my radar.
Because when we reviewed it a few weeks back, I thought it was a musical previously, a staged musical, and that's why they kept it as a musical. Because I remember we talked about, well, why is it a musical? And so I just don't know what it was adapted from. For me, A Complete Unknown, obviously.
So
that's the Dylan bias, I suppose. But boy,
the internet says that Emilia Perez is based on. So Emilia Perez, directed and written by Jacques Audiard, is based on Emilia Perez by Jacques Audiard, which seems wait a second. That's like when you build a website and the link that you click just takes you back to the same page that you just left.
Yes,
it's not doing anything. I'm clicking all the time and it's nothing doing. But it's also based on Écoute by Boris Razon. Which I'm guessing is a book or a poem or a magazine article. But on Wikipedia, at least, there is nothing you can click on Écoute. Which I wonder whether it's just completely made up. Well, either way,
it is a strategy.
Emilia Perez is up for adapted and not original.
If you knew you weren't going to get Best Original Screenplay, you could write a paragraph, print it somewhere, and say, I'm adapting it from my own paragraph. And then you could maybe win the award in a weaker category if the adapted screenplays are not as good.
I agree with you that A Complete Unknown, the strongest that I have seen out of that list.
Yeah.
Again, I said the same thing I said 2 minutes ago. A bit of an old-fashioned film, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And I think that story really hangs together. The story and the script is not necessarily the strongest part of that film.
No.
That film lives and dies on the songs.
Yeah.
And they can't really give Bob Dylan an Oscar for that, although they probably should.
I think a biopic is so easy to mess up, though. So the fact that they didn't mess it up, that they focused the story, I thought it was very focused in terms of theme and timeline in something that could have been a complete disaster and out of control. So I think it's actually kind of a complex thing to do. I mean, they took a book that was written and probably was hundreds of pages long and then reduced it to a tellable story for the visual medium. And I think there's a success in that whenever it's
for people who work in comedy. For people who work in Hollywood, just to have read the book at all feels like an achievement, doesn't it? People hate to read. People just hate to read.
Absolutely, yeah.
Conclave, I did see, and I think I said at the time, it's fine, but it does suffer rather from the problem of not having enough happen. So yeah, I think I may have said this when we originally talked about it, that if you could imagine a film about the process of choosing a new pope, well, it wouldn't surprise you to imagine there might be a little bit of politicking and a little bit of shenanigans and a little bit of people trying to ruin each other's reputation.
Yeah.
And surprise, surprise, that's kind of what happens. And there could have been some tremendously dramatic action in that film, and yet they sort of sidestep some of the biggest questions.
I was going to say, do you think that they timed the release and production of that film to a point where the current pope is getting old? So it immediately becomes more relevant.
So they're hoping that it might scoop up one of the documentary Oscars, even if it doesn't get the screenplay. So I went into this podcast patting ourselves on the back, saying, yeah, we chose all the right ones. Yeah. And actually, we've just spent 20 minutes deciding that we hate all the films that won the best Oscars in their categories. As far as international film goes, that's the other one that I wanted to talk about. And I think you've probably seen more of these than I have. Yeah. Joy of Joys, Flow, also got a nomination, didn't it? Yeah. So it won animated film, but it got nominated for Best International Film.
Yeah.
So how fantastic to see a film which is Rafifi from start to finish, not a word of dialogue, and yet people were happy to watch it and celebrate it. I'm Still Here was the winner for international film. I know you and I have both seen that, but we're going to talk about it next week. Yeah. So I'm not going to dish out any opinions this week. Good. Dear listener, you must return. Mm-hmm. But the other nominees, Emilia Perez, well, you know what we think about this, that, plus The Girl with the Needle and The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Now, I haven't seen either of those, but I think you might have.
I've seen Girl with a Needle. The Fig film I have not seen.
From here on, it should always be known as The Fig Film.
The Fig Film.
But Girl with the Needle, you liked that, didn't you?
I thought it was really good, yeah. I would definitely recommend that.
And I think I joked at the time, is this a film about vaccinations? And it turns out it sort of is.
Is it really?
No, it's not. I'm just remembering my enormously hilarious joke far too well.
It's a very compelling
tell me again what it's about.
Cinematic journey through the world of vaccinations. It's a good film. I definitely would recommend it. I think it's Danish. Well, I think we'll go into it much more detail next pod, but I'm Still Here is definitely a worthy candidate and a worthy winner. It would have been interesting to see Flow win both categories. I'm sure that's almost impossible. Like everyone's going to vote for it as animation, so they wouldn't vote for it as Best International as well. But that would have been. Yeah. I think it's certainly deserving of that. I think they probably got it right. I have not seen the other film, Emilia Perez. I think we've talked about more than enough.
Just the Fig Film has the question mark over it then.
Yeah, the Fig Film. Yeah, that's the question mark. I'd like to see it. Is it Iranian or Turkish, or where's that from?
It must surely be made in some country where figs grow. Yeah, I would reckon. So I can probably draw a line around the world and say it comes from a country underneath this line.
Yeah, this line of latitude.
More than that, I don't know. Tell you what, shall I go to the internet again?
No, just ask your AI buddy. Come on.
I put in Sacred Fig movie.
The Sacred Fig.
And Germany, Iran, France.
Yeah.
But it is a Persian film.
Which
means that we are talking about Iran, aren't we?
I'd like to, I've been working off one of the National Public Radio film critics here, Bob Mandel, has got that on his list. And I've sort of looked at a lot of those films lately, and I'm glad to say we have been looking at some of those as well. So I'll take a look at that if it's streaming sometime soon. I haven't seen it in theaters, and it was kind of the first I'd heard of it when he reviewed it at the end of the year, and I actually didn't know it was up for Best Foreign Film there, so that's new to me. But I think we'll talk about I'm Still Here. I think what did we say? We said Flow for that one too, or no? Did we say
for international film? Yeah. I think we probably would have said Flow, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I guess we didn't.
Think so.
We didn't do an award there. I probably would have said Flow. Yep. Or again, like I guess we're way off base. Robot Dreams, which just was 2023.
Yeah, that was last year, wasn't it? But
ill-informed now. But we should remind the listeners of the Two Reel Cinema Club that we're talking about films during the year that we see them, right, when we're doing our awards. So.
Yeah, exactly. So we've already proven last week that we're stuck in September. Now we're stuck in last year as well.
Time passes.
If there's a take home from the Oscars, if there is a take home from Anora sweeping the boards like this, I think it's that maybe a bit of a renaissance for small pictures. Small character-driven pictures that are filmed, with a little handheld camera, or maybe even made on a laptop.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see like a trend for these smaller, lo-fi, low-budget pictures finding a bigger audience.
I think that would be a good development. When you look at a lot of the nominees, a lot of them are not big pictures in any of those categories. So not a lot of the big action films or the superhero films are in there. They very often are not, but there, very few mega films that were competing, I guess. So that would be a welcome trend, I think, because we've seen just bloated budgets and sort of dumbed down material, I think, that's really made for the super international audience. And the international films very often are kind of generic because they have to appeal to so many cultures and get translated or dubbed or subtitled, so they're made for a much wider audience, whereas maybe we will see smaller films. They might have a more like a narrower audience, but they might be stronger stories, I guess.
For all that you might aim to make a film for a very big wide audience, your audience entirely consists of people. Maybe we should just be making films which are aimed at people, and people can enjoy and identify with these small pictures and people with small lives.
In the meantime,
I did read that if the Oscars were given out on the basis of Letterbox'd ratings, then Dune 2 would have won basically every award.
Yeah.
So I think we should at least be thankful for that.
Yeah. Yes. But I do foresee a day when the AI start to have cryptocurrency that they can spend, and we start making films for robots.
Are these your robot dreams?
Yes.
But in that case, then I suppose, if we could send an AI to watch The Brutalist and then report back whether we would have enjoyed it or not, that might be like a reasonable, humane use of computer power. I would probably be in favor of that. See, it's not all bad, this AI business. There's something good will come of it.
Yeah. So you would have a visual and maybe spoken word summary of a film that's too long for you to
Siri to tell you what the film was like in 200 words.
Huh. I like this. This is going to make our job a lot easier, but then they're going to make our jobs redundant because then the AI is going to be delivering the content.
Tune in next week to find out what ChatGPT thought of I'm Still Here. Yes, exactly.
We are certified organic.
Well, you know what? I'm going to hang this. I'm going to hang my my tuxedo up in the wardrobe again for another 11 months and 3 weeks,
and then hope.
Maybe we'll get to use it next year.
Well, you wore it when we did the awards in the back room there. So
yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. So the simple truth is, if you want to go to the Oscars, make your own Oscars. that's the surefire way we'll get an invitation, isn't it? Let's pick up some popcorn and then see whether we are still here next week to watch I'm Still Here.
Next September, we're going to Next September.